If you're a real estate agent and you're tired of cold calling, door knocking, and spending money on ads, then subscribe to this podcast. We discuss leveraging the power of YouTube for your real estate business and how these strategies earned us over $1 million in GCI our first year in real estate. My name is Levi Lascsak and my partner is Travis Plumb. Let's get started.
All right, guys. Well, let's get started. This is YouTube for real estate, and it is a little gloomy day today in Dallas, although nice and warm. But a little overcast, expecting some rain later, but all good. Now that we've covered the weather for today, we are going to talk about some YouTube and real estate. So if anybody would like to come on stage, if you have any questions, this is an open conversation. We always love having discussions over just preaching the whole time, preaching YouTube, although nothing wrong with that either. So let's get into it. And Chrissy, I guess, would you like to throw out the first topic? By the way, I'm joined here today by our client success manager, Chrissy, who's been with us since, even before the channel started. So we've worked together for probably about a little over 3 years. And in my previous business, she was there to always help and support me on the back end. And when we started this journey, came on board with us here as well. And then last year we were able to have her go full time versus just having her do a project here and a project there. It came to the need to where we needed her at capacity for full time work. So it didn't want her to be distracted with any other clients, and so locked her in. And so now she maybe regrets I just no, I'm just kidding. Hopefully, but yeah, big help. Yeah, lots of early mornings and late nights, right? So. But it's a lot of good times. Do you have anything, Chrissy, that has come up recently that is a good topic to kick the room off today?
Yeah, a lot of people ask about topics and just kind of where they need to get started as far as the types of videos, because that's a source of confusion. Some people think that it's just, going out and just doing stuff that they think about and kind of what they want to do. But maybe kind of tell us a little bit more about what's your secret sauce for finding great content to create and where to get started with that.
All right. So the topic of the day is topics. So I see where we're headed with that. Sounds like a plan. So, and again, if anybody wants to raise their hand, come up on stage, then we welcome that. And also, so really, I think it's to me, it's always based around search in the beginning. Now, that's one thing that I like to say is that you create content based off the algorithm in the beginning, and then you create content based off your audience after the fact. So, what happens is that, there is no established audience in the beginning. So, you've got to find them, but the faster way to find them is by creating content that people are already searching for. So that's why I believe search is so important, because the great thing about YouTube and Google is they will tell you exactly what people are searching for. And it's going to be a lot easier to be found by creating that content first. Now, as you create more of that content, you get more involved with your clients. You get more involved in your comments, the emails, the conversations. As your audience starts to grow, from that point, you're going to create content for the audience. And because you're going to get a better feel of them, not only do people develop relationships with you through video, but you're going to develop relationships with your audience through conversation, through reading their concerns, their comments, their emails. All of that comes into play. And so it works both ways. As you develop that relationship with your audience, you're going to start anticipating what they're looking for and the information that will help them, make better decisions on moving to your area or moving within your area or whatever that case may be. You're going to understand them, and that's where we get into service versus selfish-based content. This plays into the fact that, most of us, most people are used to selfish-based content. Now, what that means is that doesn't mean you're a selfish person by nature, or you're like, give me my ball, I'm taking it home. It doesn't mean that. It just means that traditional marketing tends to come from a selfish based place that is not ideal, which to me is kind of like, I mean, you think about magazine ads, billboards, postcards, even video. If we talk about video, it's like if you send out that postcard, unless there's a direct value add, which I've seen postcards that have a direct value add that actually solve a problem in that postcard. But if it's just like, Levi's home selling team, we buy, sell, invest, call us in the Dallas, Texas area, which is typically what a billboard says, or a postcard, or ad, or sometimes magazine ads are just a picture of the home that is sold. These different scenarios, it's like, what value does that really provide to somebody? Same thing with when we create videos. If that video starts out as, my name's Levi, I'm a real estate agent in Dallas, Texas, and if you want to buy, sell, or invest, make sure you give us a call, because we're here to service all of your home selling needs. Well, that's great, but it can come off more of a sales pitch versus a value add. So we like to add the value up front. We do have a call to action, but that's usually placed later on throughout the video so that we establish that value up front. And so not only just like introducing yourself, or like introductory videos as well. That's something that we've never done. We don't really advocate that. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but again, there's usually not a relationship established with somebody finds that video, and unless there's some heart-stopping moment in your introductory video that really captures people's attention. Just kind of like talking about yourself is not typically the way to capture that person from the beginning. Now, the same thing with kind of like open house videos or market report videos. The market report videos are really not relevant after the next month. So, by the first of the next month, I mean, if I come across a channel and there's a market report video from October on there, and that's the first video I come across, it's not going to be relevant to me. That's a seasonal type of video versus evergreen. But, from service-based content, then your topics are going to be what people are already searching for, and then you'll start to understand your audience, and you'll think, I understand what people want to see and what they want to know about, and we start creating that content for them. So topics are easily found in the beginning, because if it's based on search, it's simply the fact of that what's most searched in your area. And I love to do this exercise whenever I'm working with people. Is whenever we work together individually, then I ask them, tell me your top 5 suburbs, or your top 5 neighborhoods, or the top 5 areas that you think are the best or the most interesting, or where people are moving to. And I have them list that out, and then we actually go and look at search results. And more often than not, what's interesting is their third or fourth, or second or third or fourth. It's usually not their first or second or third, but usually something down their list is not as heavily searched as other areas. And so, typically if we're thinking about it from our perspective, we're thinking, oh, well, I want to make this about my neighborhood because I love it the most, which nothing wrong with that at all. And I'm sure you can talk about your neighborhood the best because you've lived there for however long, and you're very passionate about it. But from a strategic standpoint, does that make sense if the search volume is not there in the beginning? And so I think that's where a lot of people also post the content that they want to post in the beginning, and it doesn't necessarily relate to searchable content or highly searchable content. And so the views and the reach outs and things like that are not there in the beginning, and that tends to frustrate people as well. And then they may end up, not being as consistent, or not creating videos at all, or they get discouraged and they kind of, they move on from that, and they think, well, it doesn't really work, or I'm doing something wrong. I don't know what I'm doing, so why do it at all? As to where you pick an area that could not be your first choice, may not be your first, second, may not even be your fourth or fifth choice, but it's actually down on the list. Now, it also comes into the fact of, are you willing to work that area or travel to that area on top of that? So you want to look at all the surrounding areas that you're willing to work, or that you farm, or the market you serve, and then look at, okay, what's the most search? Okay, well, I'm going to start there because that's going to give me the highest likelihood of getting found from the very beginning, and getting content out there that can happen quickly, and I can get calls very quickly, because that in itself will tend to motivate people, see success. We talk about this with the latest channel that we helped in Houston. They know that the Woodlands is the highest searched area in all of Houston, and they made that video, and it came out of the gate very quickly to where they got their first lead within 6 days, $700,000 cash buyer. And they've only had the channel up for 3 weeks now and already got the first deal under contract in 3 weeks from the channel. And because we started with the most searched areas versus the exact areas that they worked directly. Now they worked the Woodlands, but it wasn't going to be their first choice. But the same thing is that is way faster than we saw success as well. So we're getting things a lot more dialed in. And also, they followed our program to the T. And so they just came out of the gate. Now, that's clearly the fastest success story that we've had. Most people typically fall around the 90-day mark is whenever they start getting calls and or start working with clients as far as putting them under contract. I mean, you'll get calls within 30 days. We see that very consistently, that around the 30-day mark that calls start to come in. They start to come in a lot more between 30 to 60 days, 60 to 90 days, usually working with the client or 2 or 3, and then between 90 to 120 days, usually putting something under contract. So ideally, the best way to get found is to find what's being searched the most in your area and, follow that path. And then there's several videos that you can capitalize on, on those areas as well. So there's different formats, there's different styles and things that you can make multiple videos just on that one area. Now, something we typically also do is just kind of make 2 or 3 videos about that area and then move on. Because if you start to cover 3 or 4 or 5 suburbs or neighborhoods or whatever it is you want to cover, and you start covering different areas, you work down that list. Well, if something starts to take off, you can always double back and go back and start create more content. They talk about this in YouTube Secrets. It's kind of like that tent pole or the trend setting effect where you can do that within your own channel instead of trying to capitalize off of trends in the world or pop culture or something like that. Not really geared to what we're doing unless you're doing a real estate reaction channel and you react to the news coming out every single week about the housing market. Well, then, if something starts to happen in your channel, videos here or there start to take off, don't just ignore that. You might want to go back to that suburb or that neighborhood or whatever that video was about and look at, okay, what else can I create on this subject or this matter to add to here or add to this as well. So that's just something as far as topics. I mean, you have the topics, and then ultimately it's really your stories, your experiences. That's what people are looking for. That's the you in the YouTube is you are the creator. So that's what people are searching for, is for your perspective, right? Anybody can read about your city or state or neighborhoods on a blog post, but what they don't really get a good sense of feel for is, somebody talking to them about that area. It's the same thing you do with clients every single day, where you have those conversations with clients, but the problem is that conversation lives and dies with that client. It's not scalable, and you'll do it over and over and over and over again unless you have that conversation with the video camera and put it out there to where 10 people, 100 people, 1,000 people, even 10,000 people can see it, because that becomes scalable. So all we're doing is, having a conversation that we would with a client, but having that conversation with the camera so that therefore it can reach far more people. It's scalable. It allows us to expand. It gives us freedom because it works for us whenever we're not working. And it allows us to take time off, and it allows us to go to conferences. It allows us to take vacations. It allows us to spend time with family because we don't feel bad because we're not working. Whenever you have videos working for you on your behalf 24/7, it relieves a lot of pressure. We pretty much traveled all the month of March, which just happened, with the amount of conferences and meetings we were going to and things we were working on, that we were gone about 3.5 of the 4 weeks. Now I still had content going out on the channel, but we still had leads coming in. I looked at yesterday, Chrissy, correct me if I'm wrong, but I looked at our lead distribution sheet because we keep track of this every single day. We had 11 leads come in yesterday, from
Yep.
what I saw. Yeah. So, and Chrissy came back from her beach trip on Sunday and walked into 11 leads coming in on a Monday, and that's the thing is I didn't have a video go out yesterday. I didn't, I worked on several other things, but we'll have a video that goes out today. But again, all that's happening because of the constant prospecting. One of our top video right now continues to perform over and over and over again. I mean, it's hit a complete resurgence, and that video is almost coming up to a year old, but it keeps getting viewed and shared, and it's averaging, I think just in the last 28 days I saw the stats, and it averaged 4,500 views in the last 28 days, and it's a 9-10 month old video. Now, what other platform, have you ever had one of your old Facebook videos resurge or resurface after, 8, 9, 10 months, a year later? Instagram, the thing is, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, nothing wrong with those platforms, but usually you gain all your views within the first 1 to 3 days. I don't know if it's just me, but I pretty much can look at other people's these platforms as well, and you'll notice they get all that surge in the beginning, and after that, that's it pretty much. You don't get it. Instagram doesn't feed you, someone's video from 10 months ago, but on YouTube, people are searching every single day about Dallas, Texas. And that video that we created 10 months ago is continually getting served up by YouTube because they're like, hey, people are watching this video. They like it. They're commenting. There's a lot of interaction. There's a high view duration. So we're going to continue to serve this up. And because we created that video in a evergreen format versus seasonal, and an evergreen tree has its leaves all year long, so it doesn't matter what time of day, night, weekend, month, year, holiday, no holiday. When somebody finds that video, it's relevant to them. And so, but that's the problem with market report videos. It's like, what value does that actually provide? It does provide value at that moment for your audience, but at the same time, is that the best piece of content? The reason I don't do market report videos is because I want every piece of content that we do to be relevant when people find it, on the channel. So now the thing is that that's just something that you got to make a choice on. Again, nothing wrong with those, but at the same time, if that's the first video somebody comes across, do you want that to be the first impression, or do you want it to be a video that doesn't provide value or is relevant at the time? Just something to consider. So hopefully that kind of clears up on topics. And I see we got some of our friends on stage now. So I will jump over to Naveed. What's up, Naveed, my man? How you doing? You still, man? Are you ever gonna eat that piece of pizza? I tell you
I'm
what.
never gonna eat it, and I can't change it, man, because everybody's like, I've seen you on Clubhouse. You're the pizza guy, so now it's gotta stay forever.
That's good. How you doing, man?
Everything's good. I've been having a good time making videos. I am one of those that struggles with topics, so I do appreciate this conversation. My question is, what are you utilizing? You keep talking about the most searched videos. Like, they chose to do this because it's the most searched video. What I know Answer the Public as one thing that you could kind of look up what people are looking at, but what's the best source for finding out what people are actually searching for on YouTube?
TubeBuddy.
Okay.
So TubeBuddy, if you go into TubeBuddy and go into the keyword explorer on there, so you just go into TubeBuddy and you search. You make a list of all of the areas that you want to work, and list them out. And then you go in there and you do searches on every single one of them to find out what's the volume, what's the search volume, and then you list them out from there.
Okay. All right, cool. Thanks. And then in terms of like market update videos, I know that they're boring and stuff, but do you think that there's no place at all for them because they're not evergreen? Like, you think it's an opposite attraction to a channel if somebody shows up and sees that October market update?
I believe so. First of all, I don't. If it's on YouTube, I don't think that YouTube's going to serve that up, because what's going to happen is, as soon as November hits, and anybody that finds that video, they're probably not going to watch it, so it's going to start losing steam regardless, because people that find it after October are going to realize that it's not relevant. And so view duration, all that stuff is going to click, even click-through rate, depending on your thumbnail. If your thumbnail says October 2021 market report, I mean, I doubt anybody would even click on that video, because they would read from the beginning, okay, well, we're 6 months later, not really relevant. But so I don't know. Maybe they have a place somewhere. I just don't feel they do on YouTube. I mean, I see maybe on Instagram, but again, I'm not trying to generate business from Instagram. And the other thing is that my concern is with buyers is I see market reports where people are posting that and they're showing home price increases or median price increases and things like that. I think a lot of that stuff can actually deter people from wanting to move forward whenever they see a 25% increase or 50% less inventory than this time last year. So when you add in those percentages and those types of things, they look scary, I believe, to people on the surface. And the one thing that we've done really well about educating our clients about is that, you know, the market is the market, but that's the market. Numbers are numbers on an average. It accounts high, it accounts low, it accounts mid, all of that. We have to find you one house, and every single house has a story. Every single house is a different situation. We've actually secured homes in this market for $15,000 under list price. That is practically unheard of. We've secured homes at list price in this market. We've also secured homes at 10,000, 20,000, even 100,000 over of list price. So all of that is possible. But if we say, well, look, the market says there's a 50% increase in home values. Well, you think about that. You look at Dallas, and it's like, okay, well, Dallas, the average home price used to be, 350, and now it's 400. Well, that percentage increase on paper or on a market report could look scary to somebody. But what they also don't know is that home sales for homes over $3 million, in Dallas, Texas, is way up. The homes that are they're not the average days on market in Highland Park, the most expensive neighborhood in all of Dallas, is 30 days, and there's not a home less than almost $3 million in that neighborhood. So if those homes are flying off the market, that's going to pull the overall average of Dallas on those market reports higher than what is reality for people in the 3, 4, 5, 600,000. So
For sure.
does that
No,
make
I get
sense?
that. That's cool. Yeah, totally. I get that. I'm on board. Thanks, Levi.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Well, and I'll just chime in too and say, you know, overall, when it comes to YouTube, serve YouTube with evergreen content, and then go to the platforms that are in the moment types of content and serve that platform with that type of content. So I would go, and really the best place I think for market reports is stories, because those expire. Reels, on the other hand, you want to kind of make those more evergreen, because those can resurge as well. So I would really stick to stories, because that could really increase the engagement on your profile, but those expire, and so does the content that you're talking about. So that's one thing I would do, is probably incorporate that into stories on Facebook, maybe even on TikTok, and then just in your stories on Instagram. And then the other thing that you can do with that too, and Levi does this all the time, is take some of those in the moment stats and incorporate it into a video that kind of talks about the bigger picture. So like, don't move to Dallas, that's all talking about in the moment stats, but he uses those stats to kind of talk about, but this is what we think is going to happen in the future, which then makes that an evergreen type of content. And so just try to find a way to just, instead of just focusing on that small view of what's going on right now, mention some of those in the moment stats and create an evergreen video that kind of talks about why you should move to your area, or why you should kind of consider this area for the future in terms of appreciation and things like that. That's how I kind of think you can incorporate those market reports in a more fun engaging and more evergreen way.
Totally makes sense. Thanks, Christy.
Awesome. All right. Well, hey, Eric, what's up, man? How are you doing? Haven't seen you around in a couple of weeks. Been hiding out?
Yeah, no, it's been I've been enjoying spring break with my son. We went to Hawaii for a week, which was nice just to kind of chill out and decompress and all that kind of stuff. So, no, honestly, I'm still at that. I'm getting there, but I'm still not comfortable yet doing that commitment of a week. So that's really sort of my fear, is just getting started, right? And I think that's sort of my big thing. But I'm loving the topics. I'm taking lots of notes and stuff like that. You know, for me, there's a few areas that I have targeted in the past in my business, and so I'm gonna use that TubeBuddy and see sort of how it lays out, and where I'm laying the foundation, I hope, and we're gonna get started soon. So that's kind of it for me. Just taking it all in. So I appreciate it, Levi.
Yeah, awesome. Hey, Chrissy, do you mind? Do you want to grab our link for TubeBuddy and throw that up top?
Yeah, sure. I'll grab it.
Okay. That way you can check it out. We have a code too, so you can text me or DM me if you want. I have a discount code, so if you use our link and want a discount, then you can text me if you want to get TubeBuddy, and I'll shoot you that discount. So it's if you pay for a year up front and use the discount, it works out to like $28 a month if you mark. And to me, that is well worth it because the information that you can pull from there and learn from there is well worth it. And once you use something like TubeBuddy for a year, you're going to have things pretty dialed in. You're going to know how to do it. Now, I mean, we keep it regardless, just because there's things you can do in there. I mean, I have a competitor scorecard in there. Like, you can put in all your competitor channels and gauge like their views, their subscribers, which, I can tell by that, just by subscribers and view counts. Like, we've become the number one channel in Dallas now, and we passed up some significant channels that were kind of like my goal. I mean, I wasn't out to get them, but it was just a nice benchmark to say, okay, this is where they're at. I mean, one channel was at like 7,000 subscribers when we started with 0, and we finally just passed them up. So that channel has always been like a benchmark to me, as far as, if we could ever pass them up, that would be kind of cool, And so we've actually hit that point now, which is pretty cool. But you can do competitor scorecards, but also really another main reason to hold on to TubeBuddy is for the A/B testing on thumbnails. And by doing an A/B test, you can create 2 different thumbnails, and it'll switch that thumbnail every other day. So one day you get thumbnail A, tomorrow you get thumbnail B, the next day thumbnail A, the next day thumbnail B. And that's a great way, because we've had thumbnails that have performed, the one has outperformed the other one by almost 400%. Now, that is a huge deal when you're talking about click-through rates. We average between 30 to 50,000 impressions to our channel per day. So you think about the opportunity of increasing your click-through rate based on a thumbnail when you're having 30 to 50,000 people see your videos. Now, 50,000 people are not seeing that exact video, but even if it's 1,000 of those 50,000, and you get a 400% better opportunity for them to click it just because of a thumbnail, which the thumbnail is 75% of the battle, because we are visionary people. We can process an image in less than a second, actually 7/10 of a second. So that's why thumbnails are so important, because we are visual people. That's what we notice first. And you probably do this anytime you open up YouTube, whether on your computer or your phone. You're just probably scanning thumbnails. You can process that. That's actually how YouTube counts an impression, is that if your thumbnail sits on somebody's screen longer than 1 second, they count that as an impression, because they know your eyes can process it, and you can, make a decision. Now, what people do is they look at that thumbnail, they say, ooh, that's a catchy thumbnail, and then they read the title. And if the title coincides with your thumbnail and is going to deliver the value that that person is looking for, then they're going to likely click on your video. But if that thumbnail is attracting more eyeballs and seems more interesting, to know that is a tremendous value. That is worth the wait or the price of TubeBuddy in itself. So we still constantly, that's probably one of the features we use the most, is the thumbnail testing, because we have the SEO and the keywords and all that stuff really dialed in, but we still go in there and check keywords. Actually, we're working on a different project and right now, and that was one of the first things I did was ask Chrissy. I was like, "Hey, can you go in and let's find all the search terms. Let's find all the highest volume search terms, so we know how to optimize the videos and what to add them in the descriptions and the titles and things like that." And so we still use it for that. So yeah, Chrissy, if you can pin that link at the top. Do you know how to pin the link?
Yeah, I'm looking for the link right now. I'm going to pin it up top.
It should be in any description of the Real Agents.
Yeah, I'll pull. I'm
Should be
it right
any.
now. Yep.
So if you want to DM me, and if you use that our link, I'll give you a discount code as well, so you'll get an additional percentage off. But it's a great resource to use. So, but I'm curious, Eric. Well, if I can I dig in a little bit more with you real quick, as far as is is it just the concern of being on video, or what do you feel is really the hold up as far as getting?
Let me, if you can give me 5 minutes, I'm actually just pulling into my office here, so I'll jump back in a minute.
All right, I'll jump over to Marina.
Okay,
Miss Marina. What's
Hello.
up, Marina? Marina, you're not tired of me yet?
Not yet. We've been spending all day together.
I know, right?
Okay, so well, I guess I got a couple of questions. So I've been trying, and I know sometimes it's not best to put it on other your YouTube channel on other platforms, i.e. like Facebook, but I've been putting a link, because you can link in stories on Instagram. I've seen a little bit of an uptick, but have you tried that? Have you seen anything? And then my next question is how to maybe cut some of the videos I have so I could do like a reel or something like that. How does one go about that?
Yeah, great question. So start with the first. Yeah, I mean, we've never shared the videos anywhere, and I just believe that goes into platform psychology. So I think about somebody going through your stories. And now look, you have to experiment too. So this is just my opinion and what I believe based on what I've seen. Is the reason I've never done that is because if I believe in platform psychology. If somebody's on Instagram, that is a short form content platform. Now it is, at least. I mean, the long form videos, IGTV, all that stuff really doesn't get as much play as Reels does, which is 60 seconds or less, or Stories, which is 15 seconds. Well, if somebody's clicking through Stories, I mean, they're usually just kind of eyeballing very, very quick content. So I think that's what they're in the mood for. That's what they're looking to consume. They're looking to kill some time. They're in between appointments, in line at the bank, in line at Chick-fil-A, sitting on their couch, like tired from the day. Oh, I'm just going to click through some stories. I'm going to catch up on all the people I know, like, and trust. I'm going to see what they're doing in their days, right? And so they're looking for that short form burst of information. And if they click on that link, two things I believe happen. Well, number one, if you ever do that, click on that link from somebody else's phone, like take your husband's phone or somebody you're with, if you're with another agent, and say, hey, go to my story, click on that link. It'll pull you over to YouTube in the browser, and you're not signed in. So what happens is that people are not signed in, number one. So all of a sudden, how does YouTube actually track that viewer? So if that's a client and they pop over there, they're not signed in, so they don't know that that's a person looking to move to your area. It's basically a shadow viewer to YouTube, right? So then they don't know how to recommend more content to them, especially your content. Well, if somebody tries to like your video, what does it do? It'll say, please sign in to like this video. And what it will do is then it will move you over to the app. But I think that's where a lot of people are like, oh, okay, wait a second. This is a 20-minute video. And then they go, well, yeah, I'm not really in the mood to watch a 20-minute video right now either. So let me click that little back arrow at the top left that says Instagram. Let me go back to Instagram and start going back to my stories. But I didn't get through all the stories anyways. That's what I kind of want to go through now. And I don't believe, and I could be completely wrong, I just don't believe that I think it's very difficult to convert people from one platform to another. It's the same reason why we recommend to not have any of your social links on YouTube, because I believe if you spend all that time to get somebody on your YouTube channel, and the whole goal of YouTube is time on platform, so the more people consume more YouTube, the more your channel is going to benefit and the more YouTube's going to reward you. Why put a link to Facebook or Instagram or TikTok on there so people can click on that and easily get distracted? Because I do believe it's easy to pull people from long form content to short form content, because if you've ever logged into TikTok, next thing you know, you're down a rabbit hole, right? And you forgot what you were even doing in the first place. So I think you can distract from YouTube to short form content, but I think it's very difficult to convert short form content consumers at the time they're consuming that over to a long form content platform. So I believe it's better when people are logged into YouTube, on the app of YouTube, on their TV on YouTube. When they find your content, they're the most dialed in. They're ready to consume that content. They're in the mindset for that. They're ready for that. And I think that's where you're going to gain your most traction. So slower in the beginning. I would rather have the right viewers than all the viewers, which is I just want quality over quantity. And we've shown time and time again, when people start getting calls, usually around the 30 days mark. I mean, it's funny how most of the channels we help typically have between 40 to 50 subscribers within that first 30 days. And that's when they start to get a few calls. And all those people that call in never say, "Oh my goodness, you've only got 35 subscribers. You're such a loser." They're like, "Oh, hey, I really like that video on that area. That was really helpful. So I thought I'd give you a call." That's what they always say. So, I would rather grow slow and steady with the right people than, trying to just get view counts for what they call vanity metrics, if that makes sense. Does that help out?
Yes, it does. It's just it's been what, 3 weeks or so, and I don't have the subscribers I would like. So just trying to kind of figure out how to get more eyeballs.
Yeah. What's the subscriber count now?
19, I think.
Okay.
Which is not
So,
bad. I mean, I'm gaining some from when I first started, because I have my channel's a little older, but I didn't have very many videos. So I'm gaining, and I'm gaining views and stuff like that. I think I'm just a little impatient.
right. So then that's okay. I understand that. So it's just, I would just, recommend to be patient, and you could fall in within the next week or two to be around that 30 to 50 subscriber mark. And really, again, if you're getting calls at that point, that's really what matters. And so, I mean, it's up to you. I mean, if you want to try posting those links and seeing how that is, but also, who's your Instagram audience? Is your Instagram audience potential clients? So those types of things, is just things you have to consider. But from what I've seen, based on the reasons that I just talked about, I don't, that's just why we've never done it. So, but ultimately, you got to try some things and test it out, and I've tested several things that haven't worked. So it's just a trial and error basis, but at the same time, I think just stay consistent with your content on there, and it will start to work out.
Thank you.
You're
Yeah, and
welcome.
my husband does this as well, and he had less than 30 subscribers when he got his first call too. So just keep that in perspective. At the end of the day, the quality of the subscribers is a lot higher, and so even though it goes a little bit slower, that doesn't mean that you're not going to get calls.
I'll try to keep remembering that when I'm like, come on, people.
Yeah. And hey, guys, there's a little box with an up arrow at the bottom left corner. If a few of you wouldn't mind just sharing the room, that would be great. That always helps raise some awareness as well, so we can help more people out. That shows some love. That would be really, really, really helpful. So let's move over to my man, Nick. I hope you're a real person, Nick. I don't really see much of a profile on you there. So hopefully you're a real person. Are you real?
I am real, just haven't done much on here,
Okay,
but
gotcha.
I do exist.
Well, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, and are you in real estate, or
Yeah, I'm a
where are you from?
realtor in Portland, Maine.
Okay, gotcha.
So I don't know how I found you, Levi, but we are both in the Tom Ferry ecosystem.
Okay,
But
gotcha.
so, anyways, so I've been following your stuff. Question for you: listing videos. Do you include those on your YouTube channel? It seems like with having such a strong subscriber count of buyers, that would be a good asset for potential sellers. But it's also not that search-based evergreen content. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, exactly. That's the reason we haven't done it, is because I don't believe mostly anything under $1 million is really evergreen. I mean, I think, people can go inside or go on Zillow and Realtor, and to me, in Dallas at least, this is different. I would say if you're in New Orleans, Louisiana, probably completely different, right? Because almost every single home there is completely unique and really probably has its own story. But for me in Dallas, Texas, suburbs, I mean, it's flat here. No beach, no mountains, a couple of lakes around, but otherwise a lot of the homes are the same. You look at five, six, $700,000 homes, there's really not that much about it. And also, because that price point, I don't believe that's really an evergreen video, because people are not really looking for videos on $500,000-$600,000 houses. Now, I do believe you get well over $1 million, then you start to factor in. You definitely have people's eyeballs. Those videos can be evergreen, because I think the majority of people are always curious what $1 million or multi-million-dollar home looks like on the inside. Even though but the thing is that what I think our channel does so well is because I've never gone inside a home. Number one, to save me time, but number two, anybody can look at a $500,000 house on the inside on Zillow and Realtor and all these other platforms. But what they can't see is they can't see the home next door and the home across the street and the playground, and the community pool and the neighborhood, and understand from my perspective what makes this neighborhood really cool, or what's close by, or telling them about what makes it stand out, or what's it close to, those types of things. That's what they can't get from that. So I believe that's where we attract so much interest, because we're painting the whole picture for people. And the thing is for us, at least in my opinion, five, six, $700,000 homes are they're in Dallas at least. Now, if you live in Austin, Texas, in hill country, and you got a little diversity there. I mean, those types of situations, I think there's a little difference to all of it. I mean, Portland, Maine, I don't know. I guess I believe you're close to the water there a little bit. Yeah. Are you close to the water? That's on the water, isn't it?
Yeah. Maine's got more coast than the whole East Coast.
Yeah. Okay. And do you have mountains up there, or just a lot
We
of
do. We
forest?
have the whole gamut. I mean, there's
Yeah.
still snow on the ground in places up here. So
Yeah. So, and then, I mean, our homes, I would also assume that homes are kind of unique there as far as like cottage styles.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
we have the subdivision, the colonials, the ranches, but there's also, not, your neighbor's not the same exact house always. So
yeah.
definitely
I mean,
not
so,
like you guys.
yeah. Uh, I think there's opportunity there. I mean, I wouldn't discount it completely. I just feel for us in Dallas and our channel, it's not the right fit, but it depends, I believe, really where you're at, and like you said there, you've got the water, you've got the mountains, you've got the forest, you've got different styles of homes, things like that. So, if there's uniqueness in there and you feel like you also have to be interesting. That's the other thing. I mean, if you're just walking through a home, and I think that's going to not be as interesting. But if you can, if you know the story of the home or the uniqueness of it, or you're like a detail oriented person, I mean, that's usually what people are looking for. So if it's got the nice finishes, or updated or remodeled, and those types of things, I mean, I think you can do it. We just don't see it in the main price range that we serve on our channel.
Totally makes sense. Thanks.
Yep, you got it. Ron, what's up, my man? Ron, how you doing?
Levi, what's good, man?
How was I think Marina went to, what was your thing? Was it Bron Palooza that you had?
Yeah. GR Palooza.
Oh,
Bobby
GR
went.
Palooza.
Yeah, Bobby in the audience went. It was a blast, man. We had one of those bands called Downtown Fever. So they're part of the the big cover bands here in Dallas. So it was a blast, man. Had tons of agents, great food, dancing. Everybody had a good time. So
I
sorry
bet
you missed it.
they must have made a killing during COVID, huh?
Oh yeah, they definitely cleaned up, right? So, but yeah, sorry you missed it, but you have an open invite for the next one for sure.
I'm in a Downtown Fever,
Downtown Fever. There you go. Yeah,
Fever popular.
exactly. Yeah, those guys. So what they do is they actually will, Emerald City is the name of the band, the primary band, and because they're so popular, they've branched out. More, I don't know, they all that. But yeah. Kind of the legacy YouTube rooms, and you're like a folk hero in those rooms, Levi. So they're like, oh, you really want to know how to, talk about real estate in the Dallas market? You need to talk to Levi. And they're like, what's his last name? I'm like, Lascsak. And they're like, yes. I'm like, I know Levi. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. But they were like you've got a shrine with those guys. So it was pretty cool to kind of get into those conversations. But they kept talking about VidIQ. I've got two, buddy. But do you recommend VidIQ? What exactly does it do?
I mean, I haven't used VidIQ. I mean, I know several creators that use it. They like it. I just haven't gone through it. I couldn't tell you the differences. As far as I know, there's quite a bit of similarity. I've heard there's like one or two features that VidIQ might have more. So, yeah, I mean, you might want to. I don't know if they have a trial or anything like that, but you might want to try both, and then whichever one you like better. I just started out with TubeBuddy, and I'm the type of person too that just once you start out with somebody, I don't know, and you learn that system, it's kind of just stick with it. So I found TubeBuddy to be helpful for us, and it was some of the creators, endorsed by like Daryl Eves and Roberto Blake and some of these other creators that I was watching their channels, like learning YouTube. So that's where I just kind of defaulted towards that.
That's cool. And then just one quick ad. I went to it was actually a LinkedIn creating content. So they had a LinkedIn strategist, and what she was saying is instead of putting the link as your in your actual post, if you're going to YouTube or anything, put it in the comments below, because when you put it in as a post, you're right, it takes away from the app, and they're not going to want to promote that particular story or whatever you have with that post, because it's taking people out of LinkedIn and going to Facebook or YouTube or whatever. But if you put it in the comments, then it still exists as a post with a picture. So you do like a thumbnail up there, but you still aren't taking people out of the app. They can click on that comment if they want to. So that was just kind of a quick thing. And then Marina, you're off the phone. You now have 20 subscribers. So
Thank you.
There you go. So that's a great point. Yeah, I mean, that's something else that is platform suppression, which is, from my understanding, a real thing as far as Facebook suppresses everything unless you pay for it. But, if you post links, things like that to other platforms, they recognize that. And so will that get as much reach as you want in the first place? So yeah, that's another great point, is the platform suppression as well, because they don't want you posting links to these other platforms and pulling people off of where they're at. So yeah, that's a good point. Cool. Anything else you got there, Ron, or?
No, I'm good for now. Just enjoying the conversation. Thanks so much.
How often are the Bron Paloozas?
We have them annually. So obviously we didn't have it in 21 and 20, but last one we had was 19. That was a blast. This one was, I think it was the best yet. Bobby went. Bobby had a good time. So it was a lot of fun.
Oh, cool. What's up, Bobby? He's a realtor in Frisco. That's cool. All right. Well, hey, Jennifer, how are you doing? Heard you around a little bit. We haven't chatted in a while. How you doing today?
It has been a while. First of all, I love that you're still hosting these, because there's always layers to be added. And the more I hear it, the more clear I become on strategy. So I love what Ron just brought up in terms of how to leverage another platform to get the most out of it to drive to YouTube. So thanks for that, Ron. And anything called Palooza, and I want in on it next year. I'm just saying. Levi,
Jennifer, you are in. You got to just drive up from Austin. So you get an invitation anytime you want.
All right. Well, it's not that far, and we can, have a clubhouse meeting all the way up there, and it's awesome. So, Levi, going back to your luxury channel and the growth within, and what you are creating right now in terms of content, what are you finding are your biggest learnings right now, now that you have been down the road? And I'm going to ask the same of Chrissy, because she handles it a little bit differently from your end. You've got obviously your videographer and the content creation on your side, and then on Chrissy's side from a posting side, and is, if anything, is different.
Are you asking specifically to the luxury channel?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, initially it was great. We got 13.5 million under contract very quickly from the channel, and also very quickly lost 13.5 million. And so both deals, they were executed deals, and both of them fell out of contract. Since then, it's been quiet. So I'm not sure if people are finding the luxury channel and then going to the main channel to reach out, because our lead flow has tripled from last year to this year. We're averaging right now 7 leads per day. Last year we averaged 2 leads per day. So, and then just as we mentioned, like yesterday, we have these days where we had 11 come in yesterday. So I'm not sure if there is, having that separate channel, if we're finding the people that are finding that channel as well, then maybe they are in the lower end, because we noticed there is a cap on our regular, I'll say our main channel, just living in Dallas. That's usually a cap of around 2 million for the buyer pool, which is why we started the luxury channel, because we wanted to attract 3 million plus buyers. And we thought, okay, well, we're going to do that. So for us, it's been, first of all, we've gotten busier than ever. We're expanding on different projects and things like that to extend some things we're working on, which, this is the thing, is that I'm at a point now, we have to bring on, an operations manager. We're just going to have to do it, just because there's so much that pulls me on the day-to-day side of the business that is not allowing me to focus 100% on even like the luxury channel. So I think, for us, getting the content there as well. So we have worked with several builders and designers, which is where we're getting our properties to film. And we've just hit this down spell right now where there's a lot of things getting completed, projects coming up. We built a lot of great relationships with them so far. So, otherwise it's been running it's the channel and everything has been getting views, growing, and from that standpoint. But the calls that we have not seen a influx. Now, of course, you're talking about 3 million plus buyers as well. We're not getting calls every day from $3 million buyers, but we have gotten the calls we have gotten have been multi-million-dollar buyers, and we put a $9 million and a $4.5 million deal under contract, and executed on those deals. Now they both, like I mentioned, backed out, and from that point, have not moved forward with other properties. So, when that happened, we were like, well, shoot, if we got those two deals, let alone the channel would have been worth it as well. So I think it's still a work in progress. And I think, I guess what I'm learning from that too is that, again, I believe consistency is king. It's something that I haven't been able to be as consistent on because we're dependent on other people's. I mean, we're not acquiring multi-million-dollar listings every day, right? I mean, we don't have the brand established in that market. So, it's not happening. Now, if I was embedded in, Highland Park, these areas where I'd been selling homes for the last 5-10 years, and I was getting these listings every week or every other week, then we would have that consistent content. But this was our way to break into the luxury market as not being luxury agents initially, right? So how do you do that? Well, we'll develop as many relationships as we can with custom builders, custom designers, the people that we're getting these properties from, which had worked out. But also we have, we're promised about 10 more homes in the works. But again, with construction delays and all this other stuff, we just kind of hit this patch where we haven't been able to be as consistent. Plus the travel schedule we have, there's a lot of factors in there. Now I know what it takes to do that, and I allow myself to get pulled in these other directions as well. So it's one of those things where if you're going to go into that, you have to be extremely consistent. You have to, focus all in on that. That's why I don't recommend people to try to start two. If you're going to try to start a luxury channel from the beginning, then be prepared. You want to have your content placed out for the next month or two. And then in the next month or two, you need to think about, where is my content going to come from after that? So if you're in the luxury space and you're acquiring these listings on a regular basis, or you have relationships with custom builders, and you're able to film these homes before they're sold to private clients or things like that, then I think as long as you can maintain that consistency, that is something you can do. Now, we could also go and film model homes, but that's something that I haven't really wanted to do because I don't know, I just don't, I feel like anybody can go walk into a model home, right? So it's just something that, I mean, we could do it just as a filler, for the content to put on there, but otherwise it's not something that I've wanted to do because, a model home's a model home. It's the homes that we've displayed on that channel so far are very unique, very cool. I mean, just amazing properties, right? And so, and plus there's a relationship to be built there with these custom builders as well. So I feel like we've executed pretty much 90% of it very well, but the consistency is where we're finding a struggle right now, and that's okay. I mean, that's, again, we're our main channel has tripled. Our business has tripled. I mean, in the first quarter, we did 72% over what we did all of last year from the channel. So we're projecting a monster year from the main channel, which is great, and so that's pulling me in several different directions as well. So, there's just a lot on the table, and maybe launching the luxury channel at the time we did was a little ambitious, but again, we're not afraid of that. So we decided to make the move on that. But there's also other opportunities I don't discuss right now that have presented themselves in the meantime that we feel are also opening up opportunities for us on a much larger scale than that. So that's why I've allowed it to also kind of be as far, but now it's not really allowed it. It's just that I haven't been as persistent as I need to be. So that's just something that, I'm okay with. But that's the other thing. If you're going to let something go to the wayside or not be your primary focus. You got to understand that as well. Is it a strategic decision? Just like 2 weeks ago, we were in another country. We had under contract 200 acres, and it's been a dream of mine for 5 years. And emotionally, I was all in. Now, when we got there and inspected the property and figured out what it was going to take and found out that it had also been neglected for the last 5 years, and the numbers weren't exactly what the numbers were made out to be as far as what we could get from that and the money we would sink into that, it became a strategic decision that it was going to take more money from us in the next year or two that we could probably invest somewhere else and do make more money versus investing money into this and losing money for the next couple of years. And so that was a decision to where we had to say, okay, even though we got it under contract, we backed out during option, but we inspected, we did all of our due diligence, and emotionally I was all in, but strategically not a good fit right now. So at the same time, as much as I want to really progress on that channel as well, we've got so many other things I don't want to say so many other things, but a couple of new opportunities that have presented themselves that could actually be a lot more lucrative and that we're working on the sideline that could far outweigh what that could do for us. So it's not something we're going to let die. We're still pursuing getting some properties to film, and we'll stay consistent on that. But so far, the $3 million plus buyers have not been knocking down our door from that channel. But hey, that's okay. If we do this for a whole year and that's whenever it takes off, you also have to ask your question, how long are you willing to invest in something and keep it going despite the return? What most people don't know is that for me, discovering YouTube, researching the platform, filming content, then publishing, when you look at all of that, that was 7 months before we even closed a deal. I worked on it for 7 months with 0 transactions and 0 commissions. Now, we can help people shortcut that because, like even in our course, 7 months, I can walk you through 7 months in about 7 hours. So, that's the big time saver. A lot of people think that information in the course is the most important. It's important and it will make you $1 million, but it's really the time that it saves you from the struggles that person that created that course, went through for sometimes months or years. So, at that standpoint, the channel's not even near 7 months old. So if it starts to hit its stride in the next month or two, or we start to get 1 or 2 callers, if we get one person a month at a $5 million budget, is that worth it? We know it's not going to be the volume of the main channel, but it's more about the quality or the volume of that caller. If somebody comes in and says, hey, I've got a $5 million budget, and that's the only call we get the entire month, I could care less about views and subscribers and everything else, right? It's about knocking out a $5 million deal in one shot. So I think it's also still early to tell on that. I haven't seen anybody really release a luxury channel in that manner. I do know of one other creator that does very well, but it also took him a year or so to ramp up his channel, and he was a inspiration for us as well. But I could never do what he does either. So I think there's a lot of factors that go into there, and I could probably go on into more thoughts as well. But I don't know. Does that kind of help clear that up?
Appreciate you taking the time.
What was that? I'm sorry, you cut out.
Oh, I said I appreciate you taking the time to go into it, and I love that other opportunities are opening up for you guys. So that is the name of the game, right? So you never know. It's not always a straight line, and sometimes you climb up the tree and you have to call wrong forest. But in the meantime, you've got other opportunities, so it's very cool.
Yeah. Well, and I think, yeah, absolutely. So I think regardless whether you start a regular channel, a luxury channel, whatever you want to do, I recommend everybody, you have to commit for a year, period, regardless, no matter how bad it sucks or little business you generate. I think if you commit to it for a year, you're probably going to see results sooner than that. But at the same time, sometimes it just takes a little bit more a little bit more effort, a little bit more time. So, but I believe the common success trait amongst all the successful people is consistency. Now, some people, it took them a year to be successful. Some people, it took them 20 years, but most of the time they just stayed consistent on what they were doing or the path they were following. And people achieve success at different times, but what they didn't do is they didn't quit. They stayed at it no matter what. So that's what I recommend.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Levi, I've got just a few things to add if you got the time on the luxury side.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, so with my video series, what I'm finding success in the luxury side is number one, I've got a real estate partner, right? So I'm on the lending side. So I have the agent point out 2 or 3 features of that particular property, and that kind of shows the sizzle. But then we go back into kind of a roundtable discussion, and we talk about what it's going to take to actually get into that property, right? So we're going to talk about down payment. We're going to talk about different loan programs. We're going to talk about how to get your offer accepted. So it's the substance, right? And when you're talking to someone who's going to buy a home for 3, 5, $10 million, you're talking to people that are business owners, executives, professionals. They certainly will search YouTube and look at YouTube videos on their own while they're on the weekends or at night or on the TV, what have you. But you could also capture them on LinkedIn. That's something that I learned during this presentation last week on the LinkedIn side is it's actually the highest scale in terms of wealth and overall net worth out of any of the social media channels. So that's where you're going to catch executives. That's where you're going to catch the professionals and the business owners. Those are the people that can afford $1 million properties. So if you give them something that's educational, not necessarily like, as you said, interruption, but something that is nice, short and sweet, that gives them that pause to say, okay, this is actually something that I've been thinking about, and you're now pointing me in that direction. And the feedback that I've got with the video series is, I would go to my wife's events, and she's in the technology space, and she works with CIOs and CTOs, Ps of IT, and business owners, and they've all said, hey, I've been watching your videos. You've got some good stuff. Can you introduce me to so-and-so realtor that you feature? And that's how I know it's working, right? And I've gotten business off of, using LinkedIn to attract that luxury segment. By showing them not just the videos and everything else, but actually backing it up with the substance, the numbers, the kind of the brains behind it. So you kind of combine those two factors, and it's I've found it to be a winning combination.
Cool. Yeah, that's great feedback. Appreciate that. I'm running low on time. So, David, how are you, my good friend? Do you have a quick question, comment, or contribution you'd like to throw in here before we close it out?
Hey, Levi. Hey, Chrissy. Rest of the speakers on the stage today. So, yeah, I did have a quick question, Levi. So I've been doing my research, my homework, and I heard that just trying to figure out how to promote my channel. Would that be just letting YouTube do what it does through people searching, or do you put the videos out there on Facebook, Instagram, whatever it is, say, hey, here's my channel, tune in. Just trying to see what the best way of marketing and branding the channel would be in your experience. And I'll release the mic. Thanks.
Cool. Well, I'm gonna recommend that either go to the replay of this room or our podcast that we'll post this on the podcast. But real short, because we went in actually, I think right before you jumped in here, we spent about 15 minutes on this topic. So real quick.
My bad.
No, you're good. You're good. I'm just letting you know because I'm kind of crunched on time, so I want to give you the short version. But if you want the in-depth explanation, that's what I'm saying. Just come back to the replay. But short answer is let YouTube do its thing. We don't share it anywhere. We don't cross promote. We don't tell our friends and family. We want YouTube to find the ideal audience for the videos. Now that takes longer, takes patience. Maybe a little frustration in there, but it's okay. It's all about our only goal of our channel was, can we make the phone ring? Period. It wasn't subscribers. It wasn't views, although views do lead to more eyeballs and more eyeballs lead to phone calls. But it was, can we make the phone ring? Period. It wasn't, can I make money off of AdSense, any of that stuff. It was just, can we make the phone ring? So let YouTube, I believe YouTube is the smartest algorithm. It's going to feed your videos to the right people if the right people find it on their own. And it's more powerful from a client standpoint as well. If people find your videos on their own, click and watch them on their own, and then they call you on their own, you've already won at that point. They've already made the decision they want to work with you, and they've walked themselves through the entire sales process without you forcing them through it. So that's just the short answer, but we covered this about 15 minutes in depth earlier, so I would recommend if you want to dig in a little bit more on that, but otherwise just stay the course, man. Just keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you. That's all I needed. I appreciate you and Chrissy, and y'all have a great day.
Yeah, man. Appreciate you too, guys. All right, we're going to wrap this up and close it out. Thank you so much for joining us today. This is YouTube for Real Estate, and we will be back here. I have to check my travel schedule, but are we? Oh, yeah. We'll be here next Tuesday, same time, 10:30 Central Standard Time. So look forward to seeing you there. And until next time, well, we'll see you.
Thank you for joining us on today's podcast. If you're interested in partnering with us to access our YouTube course and coaching all for free, schedule a call at 5starstrategycall.com.